I have Liam with me from Full Power Cacao. Um, Great to meet you. Thank you very much for joining the Gravytrain. Um, do you want to start by maybe giving us just a little bit of intro as to who you are, what you do, the product, those sorts of things, and then we'll crack on.
Yeah, so my name is Liam Brown, obviously founder of Full Power Cacao. I am a yoga teacher, author, podcaster, cacao ceremony expert. I hold cacao ceremony teacher trainings, facilitator trainings, and then all kind of things cacao, but interwoven with like personal development, which is what yoga is really anyway, because it's propelling people towards self-realization and enlightenment, which is how are you the best version of yourself, and or are you at least aiming towards that? And that's what any good yoga teacher does. Most yoga teachers aren't very good because they just teach you a stretching practice and don't push you towards being a better human being, which is what I'm very, very forceful with in my teachings, very sort of like masculine in terms of like, let's, why do you need 6 months counseling when we can just get through this today or this weekend, whatever, like, and stop procrastinating. So that's, the whole full power thing became, the whole name of Full Power was like, let's get people operating at their optimum, or at least striving towards the optimum. So it's like, that's why I branded it as Full Power, because it's like, when you're drinking something or you're saying something, it's like this, it's got an affirmation within it, which people find very, very powerful. And then my journey with cacao started in 2012. I was kind of like really suicidal on this kind of like mission to sort of either find myself or like just get out of it, because I wasn't in a good place. And then kind of was doing all these sort of like ceremonies, pilgrimages, different like experiences, to sort of kind of try and get my what's the thing called, like your me mojo back, really.
Yeah.
I've stumbled across a cacao shaman in Guatemala, and it wasn't like that was the moment where I knew this was what I was supposed to be doing. It was kind of like a long burner. It just became something that I incorporated into my teachings when I became a yoga teacher, and all the different things that I was doing over the years, like acting, making music, poetry, yoga, raving, taking drugs, drug dealing, and everything just kind of like 2020, everything all just come together because I had all these strings to my bow. And then me and my mates would be like, I do all this mad shit, like, but where does it doesn't really make any sense, and I'm not making any money, and I can't, I'm struggling to, not struggling, I could always make money, but I mean, I wasn't like,
Sure.
I couldn't go and like go, guys, I'll get this food, do you know what I mean? I wasn't like that sort of, and then I kind of like just went on an abundance journey as well in 2020, and was really focusing on like, how do I become successful from teaching yoga, and like actually, make more than sort of 50, 100 quid a day, when I could go and be a tree surgeon or a painter and decorator, and I could earn that sort of money. And then it started going more into events and experiences. And then actually the cacao just took off, and I was like, okay, this is my thing now. I've been doing it for almost 10 years. It was like, let's just go with this. And it was like the whole energy of cacao and the spirit of cacao was like, right, now you're ready, now let's go. And then since then it's just like, oof.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. So just kind of say you sounds like you've been on the right journey. That's for sure. What was the sort of pivotal moment where you thought, okay, I'm going to sell this stuff online?
Well, it was a kind of a few things happened where like someone asked me to train them to be a facilitator, and I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing. And then my mate come and watch me, and he was like, wow, there's a lot of depth to what you do. There's so many different elements to it. You're just doing it unconsciously because you've learned it. And then at that same time, I was like, actually, the few of the cacaos that I was using, they were okay, but they weren't hitting the mark of the cacao that I'd experienced in Guatemala. So I kind of then went on a mission, because I was still selling these other brands cacao, like at events and as drinks and stuff. That would be like, because everything that I did was sober. They were all sober events, sober raves, sober parties, sober yoga retreats. And the cacao was always a big part of that, because it still gives you that lift and gives you that kind of high. And then I just went on a mission then to like find, I was importing cacao from all over the world. I was like, right, I'm going to start a brand. We're going to, because the cacao shaman, when I met him, he said that cacao was going to take over from coffee by 2032. And I was like, well, if that's going to happen, someone's got to get a grip of this and actually go with it and smash it. And it can't be one of the big players, because it's a different paradigm. It's a different consciousness. It's got to be somebody who's come from this spiritual world who really honors plant medicine, who really honors the cacao. But I was like, well, that's a big job. But let's go with it. And if we can, take over room coffee by 2032, that's just in the UK alone, that's at least a £6 billion industry.
For sure.
The trajectory that it's on and the awareness of it, from when I started in 2012, where nobody knew about it. It's kind of like what yoga was like in 2000. Nobody really knew what yoga was in the West. It was like a few sort of vegans that stank that were doing yoga, but nobody really understood it. It was like, oh, it's a bit stretching. It's like some crusty hippies do some stretching. And then actually now people are becoming more aware of what it is, what it's about. Some people still get stuck in thinking it's just stretching. But cacao kind of at 2012 was at that point when no one knew anything about it. Even in like 2018, it was like, there was not many people. I could get probably 10 people to a ceremony. 2020, 2021, it was like 70 people, 80 people coming to my events. And then now, since Dragon's Den and everything, we've got like 200 people come to pretty much every event, which is like incredible to sit in a plant medicine ceremony, drink this. This
I'd never heard of it until probably about a year ago. And then my mum came back from Peru. And that's the first time I'd ever heard. But then now I come, maybe it's because I'm subconsciously I'm a bit more aware, perhaps.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. In terms of that awareness, I mean, it's still, even though it's changed a lot since 2020, there's a lot more people. There's a lot of people don't know, right?
Yeah. It's still like, how don't know about it.
How, if from an e-com perspective, from the website, how are you going about raising that awareness and getting people interested in what you're doing?
So in e-commerce platform wise, we just obviously we just do meta ads is a big thing, and then we've got the podcast. So quite a big ad spend on meta, in terms of like educational, in terms of the spiritual benefits, the health benefits. Really, it's a major thing is educational. So for me, in like spiritual wellness health section, for the first sort of 2 years of my business, it was just education, which I thought was crazy because I thought all these people would get it and understand it and know about it, but it was like bang. And then it kind of dropped in the second, about the second year. Well, not the second year, after the end of the so in the third year, it was kind of like people were then at these events. I wasn't having to explain it or educate them. They knew about it. They knew the benefits. Whereas now within the mainstream that we've now tapped into is a big sort of push to, explain the benefits. And in its simplest form, when you compare coffee to cacao, it's like, why drink a cup of anxiety when you can drink a cup of love? That's the main thing. Sure. It's like, who the fuck doesn't want to drink a cup of love? It's like, no, drink a cup of anxiety and like get through the day, and then you need another one in a bit, bang, bang, bang. Because basically 90% of the workforce are crackheads, but just buy coffee. I don't know if you've seen some of those videos with coffee. It's like, it's a habit, and people are like addicts to this thing that's actually not doing them any good other than to get through the day.
I'm definitely one of those coffee drinkers, that's for sure.
Yeah. Gary Neville was before he met me.
Was he? Interesting.
Well, I just say to people, just experiment with it, 3 to 7 days, see what you think, see how your life changes. Because people, honestly, like 90% of people just say, I was 3 days and I was like, I was done. You won me over. I understood what he was going on about.
Brilliant. So I guess word travels then, doesn't it? So if at the end of this chat I end up going and I try it, and then I'm gonna message you and say, Liam, that's actually really good, and then I'm gonna tell other people,
And the thing is, like, what I always say to anybody who's starting a business or something, it's like, get out there. They're like, well, what do I do out there? It's like, you want to come into my office and watch me? I'm like, what are you selling? They're like, a yoga mat. I was like, there's no point in you coming into my fucking office. I was like, just get out there with your yoga mat, practice on it in front of people, get them to use it. Like, it's absolutely useless you coming in my office and wasting my time talking about yoga mats. Just get out there, come back in a couple of years. But for me, it was like going to the big trade shows, and like, regardless if people liked me or didn't like me, everyone knew me by the end of the trade show. Everyone. Because every morning I'd go around with a cacao and I'd give everyone everyone, every shop owner, every other person who was there as a trader, I would give them a free cacao. So they're talking about, I give them a leaflet, and they might tell the person who's coming to their stall that might not walk past my stall about this cacao, who tried this cacao. So it's just like, I'm just on it. People used to come to the trade shows, like the organizers, and go, look at this guy doing sales. And I was like, I don't know how to do sales. I'm shit at sales. I'm just passionate about my product. And if I'm going to get it to where it needs to be, I need to, even though it's exhausting, and some days you just think, oh, I can't be arsed this morning. It's like, well, I just paid $5,000 to have this stall. Am I going to leave here in the red? Or,
Well, give it a go, haven't you? Yeah.
I mean, every show that I've ever done, we've left, paid everyone's wages, we've made a profit. Most people, it's just a marketing exercise. For us, it's both. Everything that we do is a marketing exercise, as well as we create revenue at the same time.
Yeah. And I guess, I mean,
from being a drug dealer in the past. Just constantly. You know what I mean?
So you clearly the word is getting out there. But one of the interesting things that about products that kind of run out, if you like you obviously, I'm curious to understand that kind of frequency of purchase and how often are people coming back. So let's say you get me signed up. What's that? What does that look like from a sort of repeat purchases, retention, frequency?
We're at like 41% retention, which is pretty good. People returning customers. Obviously, like, we're just continually trying to get people like that first purchase, and then get them on the journey, email sequence, how to make it, because a lot of people, they're getting it and they're like, I don't know what to do with it, and they just can't be bothered because most human beings are lazy. And it's like, something that's going to do you something really good for your life, but you can't take a few minutes just creating it and making it, or watching a video about it. And it's, for us as well, we're just trying to make we're kind of going into, how do we make it easier for people to make? Is that a pre-made thing that is but ultimately, we want to get people making it from this pace. We want people to just have this moment in the morning where they're with a pan, they've got the cacao, they can smell it, they're setting their intention for the day, they have that kind of moment of calm, they have the cacao, connect with it, because everything about mental health starts in the morning. It's how you get up, it's how you start your day, it's how you go to work, what mind frame you're in on the tube or wherever you go in. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, you can either, you can prepare badly for your day, or you can prepare well. And for us, like, cacao is the ultimate to prepare well for your day, because most people just grab a coffee in the morning, they don't have any consciousness about it, it's just to drink it. Do you know what I mean? Or drink it
100%.
There's no they don't have an experience, they don't create a ceremony or anything sacred. And this is something sacred that everybody, the whole mental health crisis in the world is because people don't have purpose, people don't have center. We've lost this faith in any kind of religion. And it's like, we're just kind of going wild, and it's like, it fucks people up. People are like, cacao just brings us back to center. It's like, even if we've just set a little intention for the day, like, I'm going to be kinder to the people that I come across today, or I'm not going to get triggered by Paul in the aisle opposite me who's a bella, and I'm just going to let it be a bella. You know what I mean?
Excellent. Cool. So in terms of what would you say is the biggest challenge you've had from a growth perspective, from an e-commerce growth perspective? What's been the kind of biggest headache?
In terms of like the structure of the systems of using them, or like,
just generally the kind of thing that's kind of like, I don't know, not so much keeps you up at night, but the thing that, the problems that you ultimately.
So the biggest problem that I've had, basically, when Dragon's Den dropped in January 24, before that point, cacao as a commodity, it had fluctuated between $1.50 and $4 for about 50 years, 60 years. So the whole time I was buying it through a third party, and the price was pretty good, and I wasn't going direct to source. And then I realized, right, I need to start going direct to source. But in January, the price went above $4 for the first time historically, and then it rised all the way up to $12. So the price of what was costing me like 25, 30 grand before was now costing me 150 grand. So that was our biggest thing of then going, fuck, but we need to get it in because we've got all these orders and we need to fulfill them. And our margins obviously getting smart.
You're getting squeezed, aren't you?
On this. We put our prices up slightly, which was, very, very fortunate. But it was the fact that we would have been out of business if I hadn't gone to Venezuela in the April. we would have gone unsold 100%. And so it's things like, it's a fluctuation of the commodity price. And it's like when we buy, so it's like at the moment the price is kind of like, it's still 3 times what it was before January, like for the last 50 years before that. And however, like when it gets to a certain price, it's like, right, are we in a position to buy? Let's buy. But then, you know, I think more than anything, mate, it's just been like before Dragon's Den, it was just me and one other girl, and like a few of her family had come in and pack the cacao. She'd do all the orders. She'd do a couple of hours in the morning. That was about it. We'd have some people packing the cacao. And then it's just that expansion of like staff, employing people, getting in-house market. And I'm like, fuck, man, I'm just a yoga teacher. How do I get out? So I'm just like constantly going, how do I get out of, how do I not have to do this? Because this is not what I want to be doing with my life. It's not my part in the orchestra. But however, you've got to navigate that until you can get out, because you're your baby. And actually it's fulfilling your mission and your purpose, which is, it feels.
But what does it look like now versus back in the day, sort of that kind of 2020 time? I mean, here we are, we're sort of, well, I suppose 5 years, aren't we, really? So what does your day-to-day look like? How different is that?
Just motherfuckers bombarding me all day, like 50 people bombarding me with shit all day. Like just the amount of people that get hold of me, you know what I mean? Like packaging, graphic designers, all my staff, my marketing manager, my new, we've just got a new factory, so dealing with solicitors. Like I've never dealt with a solicitor. I never even bought a house before, mate. So I dealt with a solicitor for the first time, getting a lease on a factory, and then we've moved to Southwest Wales, getting all the staff, getting all the new equipment. Like the old, you know, there's
very different, isn't it?
Just like constant just bombardment. And it's you know, it's been very, very testing, because like the people who work for me, they've got their specific jobs, but I'm dealing with everyone. I'm dealing with Venezuela, I'm dealing with Royal Mail, I'm dealing with postage, packaging, distribution. I'm dealing with, like, you know, just we have a customer service team, but then ultimately they'll come to me occasionally for certain things, and it's like it's just everything. You're at the top of the triangle, so everything works its way. It's great now.
Absolutely.
Protected by a lot of things, and there's a lot of. I'm always trying to create. How do people not get to me? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Have you got good people around you?
Yeah, I've got amazing. I'm very, very, very
helps for sure.
Like the people that have been with us since before we went massive, and then all the new people, because like basically all the staff in Manchester are just friends or friends of friends. There's no one that is like out of the community. And then like now we've just like we've employed like a couple of people, but they're coming and becoming part of the family. Then a lot of like the packers are sort of within communities around here, which is cool, because that was kind of the dream. The dream was to have a huge cacao factory and all these not hippies that don't work, because they won't last fucking 5 minutes with me. But I mean, like awakened, conscious people who want to be successful and want to do stuff. You can live in this space, and there's the opportunity for you to earn a few quid in the factory every day. But I don't want this to be. This cannot be your life purpose, because surely your life purpose is not packing cacao, unless it serves other things. Like for me, when I was decorating, when I was working in the building trade, I wasn't committed to any of them. There were just ways of me feeding myself, paying my bills, having experiences, allowing myself to grow, go on courses. But
there's a means to an end.
Yeah, but they were still sacred, and they still had meaning to me, because they were allowing me to do the other things that I wanted to do. So the cacao packing for me, it's like, and we get, it's a good vibe in the factory. Like there's music on, people just packing cacao, good vibes. It's not like, you go in some factories, it's like, Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah,
for certain. We keep that vibe high, especially because the energy going into the product as well is super important. Who surrounds it, who touches it, who's part of the process is like, really, really, like, I'm on it with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So if you here you are, you've gone through this journey, you've got your e-commerce site, you've now got factory, you're talking to lawyers, you're now running this business effectively, not doing all the stuff that you necessarily used to do in the old days.
Yeah.
If you were to, if you had like one piece of advice for a kind of aspiring e-com founder, what would that be?
Is don't employ people too fast. Just do it yourself, and outsource things. You know, like using Fiverr, using Upwork, stuff like that to start with. Because what you know, if I'd have
without committing to the
if I'd have employed staff, or if when Dragon's Den happened, if I'd set myself up for that amount of sales, then after that I would have been screwed because that amount of sales didn't continue. So it's just like for me, it's like, how do you grow something organic? Like when our marketing team came on board and before Dragon's Den, they were like, how are you doing this? I was like, what? And they went, you're doing 15 grand a month. You don't do any ads. And I was like, yeah, I'm out every weekend, like selling. Do you know what I mean? And I'm on the internet, on Facebook, doing mad shit. And like, so, you know, the way that I'd built it organically to that level was amazing. Like, and it's just, for me, for founders as well, it's make shit happen. Like, don't, like, if something happens, don't be like, oh man, like it's like solution. What's the solution? Don't get stuck in the problem. Create the solution rapidly. Like, people think I'm the mentor because we lost one of our offices while I was on holiday. We renting, like, subletting a tiny small office in Cheetham Hill, which is like the kind of like rag trade area of Manchester. And I'm on holiday. The guy rings me up. He goes, "You've got to be out of the space tomorrow." I was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "We're getting chucked out. You need to move your shit tomorrow." I was like, "Oh fuck!" So I got a van, put all my shit in this van, drove it like to my missus's house, went to bed. And I went, "I'm gonna go and get a new office." And she went, "On foot?" I was like, "Yeah, there's an industrial estate there. I'm gonna go and get an office. We need to move in it tomorrow." So I just walked around this industrial estate. "Yeah, mate, yo, excuse me, do you know where is it?" Boom, I had a few things, and then I met this guy, and he was like, "Yeah, have a look around here." It was like this four units thingy. I went, "Can I move in tomorrow?" He went, "If you go and drive down to this place, sign the contract." So I got someone to drive me there, signed the contract for it, moved in the next day. So that's fucking making shit happen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People don't have that. I call it chutzpah. It's like a Jewish word, means raw, nervy brashness. It's like, just go out there and just make something happen. Don't sit and feel sorry for yourself or like start panicking. It's just go and. If the solution is always somewhere waiting, you know. And I love that. That office was beautiful. The great thing about that office as well, man, was when the guy, I was like, "Where's the nearest post office?" He went, "Just go out the back door. It's 30 steps to the left." I was like, sweet.
Brilliant.
I'll just take the bags down, put them in the post office. Didn't even have to get a collection. It was amazing.
I think it's funny you talk about that kind of what was the word you used? The Jewish word? What was the Okay, yeah. So it's one of the things that one of the common things that I find talking to founders is that there's a different mindset to a founder, someone with their own business, than there is from a typical employee. That's something that I see, and that you talk to people, and it's that kind of, I don't know if it's belief that getting shit done, you know, that type of thing, it makes a massive difference, and it's not for everyone.
Yeah, and like, because I've not got kids, but like I see it, like, because sometimes, like, you know, something will happen in my office or with my business, and I'm like, wow. And I realized when I've just been in Mexico for a couple of weeks, and I was like, okay, I understand why I react like that sometimes, because it is actually my child. I've created it, I've incubated it, I've grown with it for sure. Been working with it as a baby my whole life, really, but it's especially since 2012, it's been my baby. And then since 2020, and then you get other people holding your baby and thinking that they can bring it up in their way, and it's like, whoa, like, ultimately, so you can have your opinion, and we can talk through different options and different ways of doing it. But even if I say something that you think is the worst way of doing it possibly, it's my business, and it's my name and my money and everything on the line. Yeah. But ultimately, like, we can have discussions, but the buck's gotta stop at me. And that's where, you know, other businesses where they've got, like, you know, maybe like you know, a chairman and a board and everything like that. There's a lot of other things going on, a lot of other opinions, and there is within my business. But I've got great people around me. But ultimately, the buck stops with you. So you've got to make sometimes, like, really, really tough decisions, and you've just got to go with that.
Sometimes you made the wrong ones.
Yeah,
Sometimes you made the right ones. But
And
this key.
I say to some people that work with me, and I say to other people who've asked me questions about it before, it's like, I ain't gonna come around to your house and tell you how to parent your kids. Don't do it to my business. You know what I mean? Give me some subtle advice, because I know nothing. Like, ultimately, I know nothing. I've just done this whole thing. Like,
You'd figured it out, right? I mean, me and my business, I'm still figuring stuff out. You know,
you'll always be, because everything's always changing. That's the only consistent thing in life is change. You know what I mean? E-commerce is changing, Meta's changing, the tax law changes, the government changes. Do you know what I mean? You've got to can either go against the flow of it, or you can flow with it and find out, you know, how you make the journey as easy and smooth as possible, and to you and your business's advantage.
Yeah. What do you think? What's the biggest thing you've learned since starting the business?
Biggest thing I've learned is basically to just I guess in a way set unrealistic targets, because I've always told people that this business is going to be worth 500 million. Yeah. And I always told people when I launched the business in 2021, you know, there was quite a few cacao brands around that had been around for like 10 years, well established. And I'd come in and I go, yo, like there was 100 people at this launch party that we had. I was like, I'm going to take over the scene. I'm going to smash it out of the park. And I'm actually not at the detriment to any other cacao brands. I'm going to raise them all up, because I'm going to raise the profile of cacao globally, especially in the UK, but globally, I'm going to raise the profile of cacao. Everyone's going to know about it. By 2032, it is going to be in every cafe, and I'm going to be the main fucking culprit of why that's happened. And that's going to be beneficial to everyone, not just me. And you know, and that's basically what's happening. That's the trajectory, and this snowball effect of the energy that we've been putting into it is like, I'm like, Jesus, if we're going to take over on coffee by 2032, me being a £5 million business, I've failed, because I should be a £1 billion business. So we're going to take over in coffee, and I'm going to be one of the main players. My business should be worth at least a few billion, maybe. Do you know what I mean? It's like, if we can get in every coffee shop, every supermarket, and actually raise the businesses of all these other people. The thing is, with a lot of spiritual businesses, there's like the work ethic isn't always as good, and because me and a lot of the people that I work with, we're all very working class. We've all, you know, building sites. Jobs like that, like where you've got a graft, you've got to get up early in the morning, you've got to get out, you've got to get at it. You're not like, oh, I don't really feel like it today, mum. Could you like support me? It's like, no, you've got to kind of be able to feed yourself if you don't go to work. So it's like this kind of working class
mindset, though, isn't it? That's that kind of. Where do you think that comes from with you?
I think that just comes from working with my dad from being 12 as a painter and decorator, and then working on building sites and being in that. You know, I'd never met anybody rich until university. From where I grew up, that's not a thing. I think there was one mate of my stepdad's who had a carpet business, and he was doing quite well for himself, but he was still from a council estate. So there was no one of like generational wealth that I'd ever met until I went to university. So it was kind of like that, just like grafting mentality. But then as I've got older, it's like I've realized it's not how hard you work, it's how smart you work, man. It's like you've got to get money.
I agree.
You could go to work and get minimum wage and work your balls out. Guess what you're going to get the next day? Minimum wage. You go out one day and you work, how do I increase my wealth? How do I increase my employability? How do I increase my hourly rate? If you go out with that mindset, you will soon enough, like if you put the same amount of energy into the work that you've done, and you've grafted pallets off, and you've got no opportunity to get any more money, if you put the same energy into that, into like progressing and like becoming better and improving your employability and what you can be paid, like it's just inevitable that you'll be successful and you'll increase what you can create for yourself and your family.
But you say that, but and I'm 100% behind. I'm with you on it completely. But it's a mindset thing. You're a really fired up guy. You have lots of belief, lots of energy. But there are a lot of people that's just not them. you know?
No, but there's actually there's a few types of people. There's the people who get home from work and they just sit on the couch, they do fuck all, and they don't expand the mind, and they don't I know, and they're down on the boss and they're down on the job, but they do fuck all about it. You've got other people that I call like busy lazy. So they get home from work, they're reading books, they're doing stuff, but they're doing nothing productive to improve their life.
Not stepping forward.
Not stepping forward, not stepping up.
Yeah.
You know, they might be like, there's so many geniuses that are
Yeah.
poor. There's so many people who, you know, think they're intellectual, but they're poor. To me, it's like, I read a book called The Science of Getting Rich, where it's like the only objective you've got on this earth is to be rich. God wants you to be rich, because when you're rich, you can support, inspire, and empower the most amount of people. You can feed the most amount of people. You can have the most amount of impact on the most amount of people. And me being from the streets, I feel like it's, you know, it's inspiring so many people that they can do it. Because, you know, I'm just like, I'm nothing special. It's, you know, I'm motivated and I'm at it, but people can find that if you know, naturally I'm a little bit energetic, but there's some things that you're natural at, and there's other things you can just learn to be that way. You know, it's like
definitely,
some things are learned, some things are natural, and everyone's got other talents. And it's like, you know, if you're you know, for the success of your business, you need to go and be confident at talking in front of people. Go and make yourself uncomfortable. Go and get some public speaking gigs. Go and do some acting.
It makes you stronger.
Yeah, and you're just getting the key skills required. I was just lucky that I got mine over a period of time. So if I had gone on Dragon's Den 5 years previously, I would have probably been very self-conscious and worried. Whereas actually I went on Dragon's Den, I was like, do you know what? You guys are getting a fucking great opportunity here, man. If you invest in me, you're not going to regret this. Like, and if you don't, fuck you, I'm going to smash it anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Excellent. What's next?
What's next?
What does the rest of 2025 look like for you?
So getting this, we're about to go operational in this new factory in Southwest Wales in Cardigan on the 9th of April. So getting all that running smoothly. I've got an ops manager, so just taking a load of things, getting that running and operational where I don't need to be there. If I am there, it's for other purposes. But just to be able to oversee it and be around the business when I need.
That should take a bit of pressure off, shouldn't it? You think?
Yeah, definitely. And then for me, it's I want to have 2 months off by the end of this year, because I'm like running on empty a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And then
what will you do in those 2 months? What's the plan?
I'll probably go to an ashram and study yoga for a couple of months in India, just to deepen my practice and my knowledge. And for me, as a spiritual teacher and a yoga teacher, that's my main job. Like, people say, oh, you've got this business. I'm a yoga teacher, man. I even with my product, I propel people towards a better existence. And the more I can keep deepening my understanding, my practice, and keep ascending and upgrading and up-leveling my abilities within that, the more that will inspire others to do the same. So for the business, we've launched in the EU via Amazon. So we're going to put a bit more of a push into that. We're smashing it in Spain. We're smashing it in Germany. We're smashing it in Italy. So it's just keep scaling that up. And the US, we're looking at moving into that market with Amazon. We've just got a few little. Everything with Amazon is like, it's super tricky, and then once you've done it, you're in. It's super easy. But until that, you're like, I could get a grenade and an Uzi, like, easier than I can sell this piece of chocolate on Amazon. Do you know what I mean? It's like face recognition interview with some woman from Indonesia, and you're like, she's like, put your hand up, and you're like, what the fuck am I like? She's gonna finger me in the arse in a minute as well. Do you know? Brilliant. I just want to sell a bit of chocolate, love.
Yeah, simple. Brilliant. So from a kind of final question, really. So from an e-com perspective, what do you think people should be watching out for in 2025? What's the kind of the next thing?
Mate, I have no idea. This is not my place in the orchestra. I'm a front man, and that is that's the nuts and bolts of somebody else. I'm trying to think if there's anything that my team talked to me about. Usually when they talk about that sort of shit, it goes over my head. Like, it's like, how much have we sold? I think, I don't know, mate. Yeah,
That's right. No worries. Is kind of yeah. There's a whole host of things. I think things like the what part AI is going to play over the next 12 months. That's probably a fairly major part of things. But no, it's been great talking to you. I think your kind of your story and your journey is really really interesting, and it's one that I think that I'm going to watch out for. That's for sure.
Nice one, man. Yeah, keep watching because we just keep expanding every year, which is beautiful.
Excellent, good stuff.